Hello Willow Chasers, it's Silent Signs from I Dream of Indie, and today we are taking a look at Cotton Fantasy, a brand new adventure from the Cotton franchise. This is a single-player cute-em-up published by ININ Games. At this stage, I would consider myself somewhat of a Cotton connoisseur. I've played through all of the recent titles that have been re-released on the Nintendo Switch, and I've been pretty eager to get my hands on this one, which was known as Cotton Rock and Roll in Japan, so that alone kind of piqued my curiosity. While it doesn't necessarily seem to have anything to do with rock and roll, unfortunately, it is a pretty fantastic title, so let's talk a little bit about the plot here. You are playing as, of course, Cotton, but this time you have the option to choose from a number of different characters as well. I do have to be the bearer of a bit of bad news here and inform you that, from what I could tell, the plot appears to be the same no matter which character you are playing through as, but it's still a pretty cute story, so I can live with that reality. If you've played any of the prior Cotton games from years past, you may be able to guess the plot here, but just to give you a little bit of background, Cotton is obsessed with these candies called Willows, and in this title they've gone missing, they've vanished. And since she'll do just about anything for a Willow candy, off she goes on a grand adventure trying to restore them. While this is a new installment in the Cotton franchise, if you've ever played any of the other Cotton games, or any shoot-em-ups in general really, the gameplay shouldn't come as a surprise to you. While all of the playable characters play just a little bit differently, there are 3 primary buttons you will have to concern yourself with: a shot button, a special button, and an auto shot button. Before jumping into story mode, you get a little rundown about how each of these characters play. You also get to choose a difficulty between normal, hard, and extra. Typically, when playing a game for fun, I will always choose normal, but since I myself am a little extra, I did give it a go as well. From what I could see, the primary difference between normal and extra is that extra turns the game into a bullet hell. Every enemy that you kill bursts into a flood of bullets. So let's play a little game of good news, bad news. The good news is you're going to be able to get through it even on the most difficult setting because you have unlimited continues. The bad news is you're certainly not going to be hitting a high score on that level without a ton of practice because your score resets each time you have to continue. Apart from selecting your character and difficulty option, there aren't a lot of other options to choose from. You can adjust the volume, you can turn on the hitbox display, rank display, and skip cutscenes, but that's it. You do, however, have a training mode where you have a bit more options. You can go into there, select an individual stage and character, and crank up your level or how many bombs you have, and for lack of a better term, try to get good. One thing that I did really appreciate about Cotton Fantasy is that in story mode, while the story itself may appear to be the same each playthrough, the path you take doesn't have to be. After you beat the first level, it becomes a bit of a choose-your-own adventure as you are able to select the next destination from a few different options on the stage select screen. I may be terrible at all of them, but I sure do appreciate having the freedom to choose which one I'm going to be terrible at next. Another win for Cotton Fantasy is how all of the characters play a little bit differently. I was fully expecting them to kind of all have the same types of shots and attacks, but there is a strategy to which character you choose here too. And of course, beating the game's story mode not only comes with a sense of pride, but some unlockable things as well. And if that's not enough for you, there are leaderboards. Don't look for my name on the leaderboards. You're gonna have to scroll pretty far down. Cotton Fantasy also has a super fresh art direction that I really enjoyed the look of. It ran incredibly well, especially on the Nintendo Switch. There was a bit of slowdown only in really one of the levels that I encountered, and it's pretty far in with a ton of stuff on screen, but for the most part fully functional and playable and beautiful graphics. There are also these super vibrant cartoon cutscenes that accompany the bits of story you get between levels, and let me just say they really put the cute and cute 'em up. Maybe I just got used to the look of the older Cotton games from playing so many of those re-releases, but I was very impressed with the way this one looked. I thought all of the character designs were fantastic. You get some great enemy variety, and even the bullets had a unique look to them. It's super colorful, there's a lot going on screen, but that is exactly what a shoot 'em up should be. The soundtrack is equally fantastic. You have some really high energy, upbeat tracks and some familiar themes in those tracks. Sound effects and voice acting were well mixed and not grating, even though they do become a little bit repetitive with multiple playthroughs. I never found myself getting annoyed at any of it. While there is certainly a level of nostalgia and plenty to appreciate about the older Cotton games, I do believe that Cotton Fantasy is the best Cotton game, or at least the best Cotton game that I've played yet. Even after several playthroughs of this story mode using different characters and at different difficulty options, I was never finding myself getting sick of the gameplay loop. Between the way that each character played differently, the different paths you can take, and the leaderboards, there was just so much to go back in and play for. Whether you are a fan of the Cotton franchise, new or old, or if you just like shoot 'em ups, I think this one is definitely worth a shot.
Thank you so much for supporting clickbait free independent content here at I Dream of Indie. We couldn't possibly make it without our brave indie warriors and legends. At the Indie Warriors tier, we have Bill, Christian Cruz, Adriana Amato, CJR, PSC, Julian Colbus, Jesse, Ray Lynn, Marky Mint, Dave Harp, Peekaboo, and Lex Noyle. And the brave indie legends include Jen Rose, Larkison, Mitchell Hall, Peach, Skepticism, C. Coyle, Nathan Moore, Chris Jackson, Mr. W, Blue Francis 14, The Beefarinis, Business Cody, Carmen Red, Jace Glover, King of the Hatch, and Ophidian Mind. Thank you so much for all that you do for independent developers, publishers, and for I Dream of Indie. Head on down to the description box below so you can learn how to become an indie warrior or legend yourself, get access to exclusive content, and help us bring a voice to the voiceless ones in gaming.